Welcome, you beautifully cursed little miracles. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one who walked in here dragging 1,000 invisible chains and still tried to act normal like that. Doesn't hurt. Let's talk about this. Hex you're under. That voice in your head that whispers, you're not enough. You're too late. You're too broken. Sit down. Stay quiet. Don't even try. You know the one. You've treated that voice like law, like a spell, like some dark contract you signed when you were 12 and sad, and nobody noticed. And now you see people online. You see someone like you. Same age, same city, same scars. Blink, shrug, and suddenly they're not playing by the old rules anymore. They move differently. They talk differently. They walk like they've never been humiliated a day in their life. And your brain goes, nah, this can't be legal. Since when can someone unhex themselves by blinking? Let me ruin the illusion for you. They didn't get permission. They didn't ask. They didn't wait for the universe to stamp approved on their forehead. They just stopped obeying the curse. And that's what nobody told you. You didn't have to wait for the spell to expire. You grew up thinking pain was paperwork, that you needed a signature from God, your parents, your ex, your therapist, your horoscope, your follower count. Someone had to say, okay, you're allowed to be free now. So you sit there, waiting for an apology that's never coming, waiting for someone to understand you fully, but you barely understand yourself, waiting for motivation to magically appear like an Amazon delivery, waiting for a sign. You know what a sign really is? A moment you finally decide to stop pretending you're powerless. A blink, that's all. One tiny, stupid, microscopic decision in your own head that the rest of the world can't even see. You blink, and you silently decide, I'm done playing the cursed version of me. That's it. That's the crime. That's the this can't be legal moment. Let's be real for a second. You weren't cursed by a witch. You were cursed by a parent who only loved the obedient version of you. A teacher who made you feel stupid for not learning like everyone else. A friend who weaponized your secrets. An ex who told you no one else would ever want you. A world that profits off your low self-esteem. You didn't get hit by black magic. You got hit by repetition. The same words, the same looks, the same disappointment. Again, and again, and again. Until you started repeating it yourself. I'm annoying. I'm not enough. I ruin everything. I can't change. You know what a curse really is. A sentence said so many times it starts to sound like the truth. Now here you are, scrolling, existing, breathing, but not really living. And suddenly you see people unhex themselves like it's a joke. They leave toxic family dynamics. They quit soul-sucking jobs. They stop chasing half-hearted love. They start acting like they actually matter. No ceremony, no ritual, no priest, no paperwork, just a mental blink. They go from, everybody hates me, I should shrink, to, even if you hate me, I'm not shrinking. You look at that, and your soul screams, wait, we're allowed to do that? Yes, you've always been allowed. You were just trained not to. Let's talk about that training. You were trained to be small, to be quiet, to be grateful for crumbs, to feel guilty for wanting more, to apologize when you exist too loudly. You were trained like a dog that got shocked enough times it stopped walking past a certain line, even when the shock collar got turned off years ago. That's you. Walking in circles inside an invisible fence that doesn't even work anymore. You're not trapped by walls, you're trapped by old settings. And every day you wake up, The world politely hands you the same identity like a name tag. Hi, my name is Overthinker, Overgiver, Underpaid, Underloved. Always almost enough, never quite. And you put it on, like you have to, like it's the law. That's the hex. Now here's where it gets illegal, because the moment you blink and go, yeah, I'm not wearing that name tag today, you just committed emotional treason. You just betrayed the whole system that depends on you being insecure. Businesses lose money when you stop hating yourself. Toxic people lose control when you stop needing their approval. Your past loses power when you stop replaying it every night, like a depressing highlight reel. No wonder it feels like it shouldn't be allowed. No wonder your brain screams, this can't be legal. Since when can someone just decide to not be cursed anymore? Since always. Nobody told you, because a confident you is dangerous. Let me ask you something ugly. How many years have you already sacrificed on the altar of, I'm not ready yet? What if they judge me? What if I fail? What if they leave? Here's a better question. What if you keep obeying the hex and nothing ever changes? Really sit with that for a second. Same room, same job, same people, same self-hate. 5 years from now. You think your heart can survive that? Because under all your numbness, you know you're not built for a small life. You know it. It leaks out sometimes. In your daydreams, in your random late-night fantasies where you're actually respected, actually seen, actually doing something that doesn't make your soul rot. That version of you, that's not a fantasy. That's the uncursed version of you trying to get out. So let's decode this blink thing, because your brain loves to complicate simple stuff. You think unhexing yourself means perfect confidence, no anxiety, no doubts, no mistakes, never slipping back. Wrong. Unhexing yourself is literally catching that old thought, I'm pathetic, blinking, and replacing it with, talk to me with respect. You don't even have to believe it yet. You just have to choose it. Unhexing is you about to text that person who treats you like an option. Blink. Nah, I'm not begging for bare minimum today. Unhexing is you about to shrink in a room full of louder people. Blink. I belong here too. Unhexing is you about to say, it's fine, don't worry about it, when you're absolutely not fine. Blink. Actually, it did hurt me. It's not glamorous. It doesn't come with theme music. It's not cinematic. It's awkward. It's shaky. It feels wrong. It feels illegal. Because it goes against everything you've rehearsed for years. But that's the point. You think you're waiting for confidence. But confidence isn't the starter. It's the side effect. You blink first. You act differently first. You walk into the room as if you matter, before your brain has fully caught up to the idea. And your system freaks out. Heart racing, hands sweaty, thoughts screaming, who do you think you are? They're going to laugh. You're not that person. That's the old hex fighting for its life. You're not having a breakdown, you're having a breakout. The cage is rattling. Of course, it's loud. People will say, you've changed. Good. That's the plan. They'll say, you're different now. Thank you. Took long enough. They'll say, you're acting brand new. Because you are. You blinked. You updated your operating system. And the ones who only knew the obedient, apologetic, self-erasing you. Yeah, they're gonna call your freedom attitude. They're gonna call your boundaries rudeness. They're gonna call your self-respect ego. Let them. They were never meant to understand your uncursed version anyway. Let's talk about something else you don't like to admit. You are loyal to your suffering. You cuddle your pain like a childhood blanket. You drag it everywhere. You wear it like an identity instead of a wound. Because who are you without the sad story? Who are you if you're not the broken one, the overlooked one, the tragic one? Terrifying question, right? Because if you drop that story, you're not the victim anymore. You're the one who has to move. And moving is scary. Standing still is killing you slowly, but at least it's familiar. That's the real hex. You're addicted to the version of you that hurts. So here's the messed up truth. You're not scared of failing. You fail yourself every day by staying small, and you tolerate it just fine. You're scared of seeing how powerful you actually are, because then you lose the excuse of, I just can't. You're scared that if you blink and the chains fall off, now it's on you. No more I'm cursed, just what do I do with all this freedom? That's heavy, right? But it's also the doorway. So how do you do it? How do you actually unhex yourself by blinking? You start disobeying the script. The old script says, everyone always leaves you, so don't get attached. You blink and say, people leaving is about them. I still get to love deeply. The old script says, you're not smart enough for that path. You blink and say, I can learn. Slow is still progress. The old script says, you're behind. It's too late. You blink and say, I'm right on time for my story. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to post it. You don't have to announce it at all. You just practice it, quietly, rudely, persistently, until the hex doesn't fit you anymore. Here's what nobody prepared you for. The moment you stop believing the curse, the world doesn't suddenly become kind. Sometimes it gets harsher first, because now you're saying no more. You're calling out disrespect. You're walking away from situations that used to own you. You're daring to want more than survival. And that threatens people who are still obeying their own curse. They will try to hand your chains back. Don't be difficult. Just be grateful. Why are you making things complicated? You're so sensitive lately. That's how they say, get back in your cage so we feel comfortable again. Blink. Don't go back. There's a version of you that doesn't flinch every time someone raises their voice. A version that doesn't over-explain every boundary like you're defending a crime. A version that doesn't spiral for hours because a message was left on read. A version that doesn't analyze every social interaction for evidence that you're unlovable. That version of you is not a fantasy. They're buried under layers of be nice, be quiet, be small. Don't make a scene. They're waiting for you to do something unbelievably simple and unbelievably terrifying. Refuse to keep playing cursed. You want practical? Fine. Here's what blinking looks like today. Not in some dramatic movie. You're about to stalk someone's profile for the 50th time, looking for proof they don't care. Blink. Put the phone down. Do one thing for you instead. You're about to say yes to a favor that drains the life out of you. Blink. Say, I actually can't this time. You're about to insult yourself in your head. Blink. Say, we're not talking to me like that anymore. You're about to let a goal sit in your notes app for another month. Blink. Do one tiny, ugly, imperfect action toward it. It won't feel epic. It'll feel clumsy and small, but repeated tiny rebellions. That's how curses die. Not with a bang, with 1,000 quiet no's to the old story and 1,000 quiet yeses to the new one. People love to say, healing isn't linear. Cool slogan. Sounds nice. But here's the add-on they forget. Just because it isn't linear doesn't mean you have to stand still. You can spiral and still be moving upward. You can have bad days and still be breaking patterns. You can cry and still be stronger than you were last year. The Hex wants you to believe that one slip means you're back to zero. You're not. You're never back to zero because you're walking with awareness now. You blinked once. You can blink again. Let's get a little darker because you can handle it. Imagine your future self watching you right now like a scene in a movie. They're sitting in some life you can't fully imagine yet, in a room that's peaceful, around people who actually love them, doing work that doesn't make them want to evaporate. They look back at you, at this moment, at you lying in bed, scrolling, overthinking, feeling like you're made of cement and regret. And they're screaming in their head, that was the day, that was the moment, that was when you finally got sick of your own excuses. That was when you blinked, not because fireworks happened, not because some huge event took place, but because on a random, ordinary day, you finally decided, I'm not cursed, I'm conditioned, and conditioning can be broken. That was the crime. That was the jailbreak. You keep thinking you need motivation. You don't. You need defiance. Motivation is, I feel like it. Defiance is, I'm doing it even if I don't. Motivation is a good mood. Defiance is a personality shift. You want to be unstoppable? Stop worshiping how you feel in the moment. Blink. Do the thing anyway. Because once you prove to yourself that you can move without permission from your feelings, the Hex loses its last weapon. You think your story is over because of what's already happened. But the story doesn't end when something breaks you. The story ends when you decide that's the last chapter. And you haven't decided that. You're still here, still breathing, still curious enough to listen to some chaotic clown rant about unhexing yourself by blinking. That means a part of you isn't done. A part of you is still hungry, not for drama, not for attention, for peace, for power, for a life that doesn't feel like punishment. Feed that part. You know what's wild? You already blinked 1,000 times in your life while thinking you were powerless. Blinked while being disrespected. Blinked while making yourself smaller. Blinked while agreeing to things that killed your spirit. Every one of those moments could have been the opposite. And now you know that. So here's the question. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Keep pretending the Hex is stronger than you, or finally admit the scariest truth of all. You've always been the one holding the key. One thought, one decision, one blink at a time. You start to feel it first in those tiny, awkward situations where you'd usually fold. Your friend makes that joking comment that always stings. Before, you'd laugh it off, swallow the hurt, go home, and overthink it for 3 hours. This time, you blink. Your chest tightens. You look at them and you just say, yeah, don't say that about me again. The air gets weird. They go quiet. Your brain starts screaming, abort mission, you're being dramatic, they'll leave, you ruined the vibe. But underneath all that noise, there's this small, quiet, steady voice going, that, right there. That was you cutting one thread of the Hex. You don't feel heroic. You feel shaky, exposed, a little sick. Yet something in you sits taller. You walk away from that moment and your mind tries to drag you back into the old script, replaying it, critiquing it. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should apologize. Maybe I should send a paragraph explaining myself in excruciating detail. You can almost feel your hand reaching for the phone, out of habit. Blink. You put the phone down. You let the discomfort just sit there. You let people be unsure about you. You let the silence be heavy without rushing to fix it. That's another thread snapped. You always thought power would feel like confidence, chest out, head high, no doubts. It doesn't. Real power feels like this weird, trembling honesty inside your rib cage. This constant whisper, I'm scared, and I'm still not going back. You wake up one morning, and you catch yourself reaching for the same thoughts, like they're your toothbrush. I'm useless. I'm behind. Nobody actually cares about me unless I'm useful. And you pause, mid-thought, like when you reach for a closet door and suddenly remember, wait, I moved my clothes to the other room. You catch one of those thoughts, mid-sentence, and you answer it like you're sick of its attitude. Yeah, that's cute, but we're not doing that narrative today. You don't have a better narrative fully built yet. You don't have some shiny affirmation that feels real. You just refuse to run the old program on autopilot. That refusal is the blink. You know what makes the hex strong? Repetition with emotion. Those moments you sat on your floor crying, telling yourself you're worthless. Those nights you replayed every rejection like a ritual. Those mornings you looked in the mirror and flinched a little. Every repetition, every emotional replay carved grooves in your mind, neural pathways that say, this is who we are. You've been doing dark magic on yourself since childhood and calling it being realistic. And then you see someone your age who talks to themselves like they're actually worth something. And it looks insane. They wake up and go, all right, I'm not perfect, but I'm still a problem in the best way. And part of you admires it, but part of you feels offended. Like, who allowed them that level of self-respect? Who signed their permission slip to talk like that? That's why it feels illegal, watching someone unhex themselves by blinking. Because deep down, you know you could do that too. Hold that breath. Yeah, that one. Because somewhere out there, a door just got knocked on, and your name is echoing in a room you're not even standing in. You feel it, don't you? That strange pressure behind your eyes, that slow crawling realization that something shifted without your permission. This isn't gossip. This isn't karma in a cute little Instagram quote. This is consequence walking up the stairs in heavy shoes. Nah, this is bad. Not for you, for them. See, you always knew it would come to this. You just didn't know when. You didn't know which version of reality would finally snap and expose the lie they built their whole personality on. But you felt it, that low hum in your chest, that quiet certainty that people who snake you don't escape clean. They just get a longer runway before impact. They smiled in your face while mapping exits. They learned your weaknesses just to rehearse their betrayal. They drained you, mocked you, discarded you, then rewrote history like you were the villain and they were the survivor, and you. You didn't scream. You didn't chase. You didn't beg the universe for justice. You went silent. That was the mistake they made, thinking silence meant defeat, thinking your calm was weakness, thinking the angel in you had died, when in reality, it just stepped back and let something far more patient take control. Because here's the paradox they never understood. You can be pure and still be dangerous. You can be kind and still be calculating. You can walk away without vengeance and still leave behind a trail that leads straight back to them. While they were busy running their mouth, you were evolving. While they were celebrating your absence, you were becoming unrecognizable. While they thought the story ended with you bleeding, You were quietly mastering the art of not needing closure. And now the past is knocking. You didn't call anyone. You didn't report. You didn't threaten. You simply existed long enough for the truth to get bored of hiding. That's what destroys people like that. The realization that your downfall never came. That the version of you they tried to bury didn't rot. It mutated. Became smarter, colder, sharper. Became someone who doesn't flinch when chaos chooses a direction. They're standing there right now, heart racing, mind scrambling, replaying every lie they told about you, every move they made thinking they were untouchable. And the scariest part? They don't even know what the knock is about yet. That's the real horror. The not knowing, the slow inventory of sins, the sudden understanding that snakes are only slick until the ground freezes. You see, you were never meant to be their punishment. You were the test, and they failed it so catastrophically that reality itself had to step in and correct the imbalance. You learned restraint where others would have chosen destruction. You learned precision where others would have burned everything down. You learned how to let time do the dirty work while you stayed clean. That's why this hits different. Because you're not celebrating, you're not cheering, you're not even surprised. You're just watching, calm, centered, fully aware that this moment was earned in a currency deeper than revenge. This is what happens when a saint learns how psychopaths think, when an angel understands demons without becoming one, when pain doesn't break you, it educates you. They thought betraying you was the end of the story. Turns out it was the opening scene. So don't smile, don't gloat, don't say a word. Just stand there in that quiet power and remember, you didn't chase justice. Justice finally caught up to them, trying to catch you. And the wildest part? They still think this is about you. That's how small their understanding is. They think the knock is punishment for what they did to you. They think the universe keeps score like a petty accountant. They don't realize this isn't about revenge, balance, or even fairness. This is about exposure. See, people like that don't collapse because someone pushes them. They collapse because they spend years building a life on shortcuts, lies, borrowed faces, and stolen narratives. They collapse because eventually the weight of pretending becomes heavier than the truth they ran from. And you were just the first crack in the mirror. You were the one who saw through them early, the one they couldn't fully manipulate, the one who made them feel exposed without ever raising your voice. That terrified them. That's why they had to snake you. That's why they had to discredit you. That's why they had to turn you into the villain in their story. Because if they didn't, everyone else would have seen it too. So they cut you out, lied about you, threw your name under the bus and drove over it a few times just to be sure. And when you disappeared without resistance, they thought they'd won. But silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes silence is strategy. You were studying, watching, letting the world reveal who listens, who repeats, who fabricates. Pain sharpened you, betrayal educated you, loss stripped you down to the essentials until all that was left was something lean, aware, and impossible to gaslight. That's the evolution nobody talks about. The moment when suffering stops being emotional and starts being informational. You learned how systems work, how people talk when they think they're safe, how lies grow bolder when unchallenged, how snakes always get sloppy when they think the grass belongs to them. And now the bill arrived, not with drama, not with your name stamped on it, just a knock. Calm, professional, unavoidable. You can feel their panic from a distance, the sudden cold sweat, the dry mouth, The racing brain doing damage control math it should have done years ago. Every conversation replayed, every message reread, every "it's fine" suddenly sounding like a lie. They're realizing something horrifying in real time. You never had to do anything. Your restraint is what damned them. If you had reacted, they could have framed you as emotional. If you had lashed out, they could have called you unstable. If you had begged for justice, they could have laughed it off. But you didn't. You stepped aside and let their character keep talking. That's why this feels so heavy. That's why this moment has gravity. Because when consequences arrive without your fingerprints on them, there's no one left to blame. This is what power looks like when it's matured, quiet, unrushed, surgical. You're not the hero. You're not the villain. You're the constant. The variable that didn't break. The presence that didn't need to threaten. The shadow that didn't chase, but never left. And deep down, they know it. That's the part eating them alive. Not fear of the knock, but the realization that you walked away cleaner, stronger, and more intact than they ever expected. That the person they tried to erase became the standard they'll now be measured against. So let them deal with it. Let them explain. Let them scramble. You're not watching for satisfaction. You're watching because this is what happens when someone mistakes your kindness for blindness and your silence for weakness. You didn't become darker. You became clearer. And clarity. That's the most dangerous evolution of all. And clarity doesn't shout. Clarity waits. It waits while people bury themselves with extra words. It waits while panic makes them confess to things nobody even asked about. It waits while their carefully rehearsed mask cracks under pressure they were never built to carry. You learn something brutal through all of this. Most people aren't evil masterminds. They're just reckless cowards with good timing. They betray when it's convenient. They lie when it protects their comfort. They snake you not because you deserved it, but because you saw them. That's the sin they couldn't forgive. You reflected something back at them they weren't ready to face. Not with insults, not with accusations, just with presence, with integrity, with a way of moving through the world that didn't need manipulation to survive. So they tried to delete you, erase your credibility, poison the well, rewrite the narrative so thoroughly that even they started believing it, and for a while it worked. You lost things, people, opportunities, versions of the future you thought were guaranteed. That's the part nobody sees. They only see the aftermath. They don't see the nights where you questioned your own reality, the moments you replayed conversations wondering where you misstepped, the slow realization that being good doesn't protect you from being targeted. It just makes you a cleaner target. But here's where the shift happened. Instead of becoming bitter, you became precise. Instead of becoming loud, you became observant. Instead of hardening your heart, you sharpened your mind. That's when the balance tipped. Because once you stop reacting emotionally, you start seeing patterns. And patterns are lethal to liars. Patterns expose inconsistencies. Patterns connect dots. People assumed would stay scattered. You didn't need to hunt. You didn't need to accuse. You just kept existing honestly in a world where dishonesty eventually contradicts itself. And now those contradictions are standing on a doorstep, asking questions they never prepared answers for. This is the part that breaks them, the realization that the trap wasn't set by you. It was set by their own behavior over time. You were just the first witness, the first variable they couldn't control. You became proof that they weren't as slick as they thought. That's why this moment feels heavy in your chest, but not chaotic. There's no adrenaline, no thrill. Just a calm awareness that the universe finally turned the mirror around. You're not celebrating their fear. You're acknowledging the symmetry. They moved in shadows. You learned to see in the dark. They thought speed would save them. You mastered patience. They played checkers with people's lives. You learned how the board itself works. This isn't vengeance. This is alignment. And the most unsettling part for them? You're nowhere near the scene. You're not explaining, not defending, not even involved. You're just unreachable. That's when it hits them. They didn't just lose control of the situation. They lost access to you. No narrative to twist, no reaction to exploit, no emotional hook left to pull. You moved past the phase where chaos excites you, past the need to be proven right, past the urge to be seen as the good one. You're operating from a place where outcomes speak louder than stories. So let the knock echo. Let the silence stretch. Let the truth do what it always does when nobody's trying to interfere. Surface. You're not the storm. You're the pressure change that tells everyone one is coming. And the ones who snaked you. They're finally learning the cost of mistaking your depth for passivity and your mercy for immunity. And here's the part nobody warns you about, the part that feels almost unreal when it finally happens. You don't feel joy. You don't feel revenge. You don't even feel vindicated. You feel distance, like you're watching something from behind thick glass, like this chapter closed itself without needing your signature. That's how you know you've crossed a line they can't follow you past. Because once you've been forged by betrayal, once you've survived being misunderstood, misrepresented, and quietly sacrificed so others could stay comfortable, you stop craving noise. You stop craving witnesses. You stop craving the satisfaction of, "I told you so." You start craving truth without participation. That's what this moment is. They're scrambling now, trying to reconstruct timelines, trying to remember what they said to who, trying to calculate how far the damage goes. You can almost hear the panic in the pauses, the forced calm, the over-explaining, that frantic need to control a narrative that's already slipping through their fingers. And the irony? You were never the danger they needed to fear. You were the warning, a quiet one, a merciful one, a test that asked a simple question: can you betray someone who did nothing but see you and still sleep at night? They answered it the only way they knew how, wrong. So now reality is doing what you refused to do, pressing, questioning, tightening the frame. And for the first time, they're realizing how exposed they really are without you as a shield, without you absorbing the chaos, without you being the emotional lightning rod they could point fingers at. You were their camouflage. They just didn't know it. You carried their projections, their guilt, their insecurities. You let them paint you as the problem because you didn't need to be understood to survive. That generosity cost you, but it also gave you something rare: immunity. Because when someone tries to ruin you and fails long enough, their intent becomes visible. Their pattern becomes traceable. Their story starts collapsing under its own weight. That's what's happening now. This isn't fate. This isn't luck. This is math. And you've already solved the equation. You're standing on the other side of pain, where emotions don't control decisions anymore, where fear doesn't hijack your nervous system, where unpredictability isn't chaos, it's leverage. You learned how to move in a way that can't be predicted because it's not reactive. You're not responding to threats. You're not adjusting to pressure. You're not seeking approval. You're self-contained. That's what makes you terrifying, without ever raising your voice. They're still operating on old rules. Louder wins, faster survives, manipulation conquers. Meanwhile, you're playing a different game entirely. One where restraint outlasts aggression, where silence outlives slander, where truth doesn't rush because it doesn't need to. So let this moment pass without commentary. Let it unfold without your fingerprints. Let them face the echo of everything they tried to bury. You didn't turn cold. You turned exact. You didn't lose your heart. You learned where to place it safely. And whatever happens on the other side of that door, that's not your chapter anymore. You already walked away carrying something they'll never recover from. Your clarity, your evolution, and the kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself to be felt. And the deeper truth, the one that settles in your bones long after the noise fades, is that this moment was never meant to shake you. It was meant to confirm something you already knew but had to earn the hard way. You were never crazy. You were never imagining it. You were never too much or too sensitive or reading into things. You were early to the pattern, early to the betrayal, early to the realization that some people don't bond, they harvest, they don't love, they study, they don't build, they position. And when you finally saw it, when your nervous system clocked the danger before your mind had language for it, you didn't explode. You didn't self-destruct. You didn't become the monster they hoped you'd turn into, so they could justify what they did. You endured. That endurance rewired you in ways most people will never understand. It taught you how to sit in discomfort without flinching, how to watch manipulation without reacting, how to feel betrayal without bleeding out in public. You learned how to hold power without performing it. That's why this chapter closes the way it does, quietly, clinically, without spectacle. Because real consequences don't come with drama. They come with paperwork, questions, timelines, and that cold moment when someone realizes their version of events no longer matters. You're not part of the story anymore, and that's what haunts them. They can't provoke you. They can't bait you. They can't rewrite you. You exist outside their control now, and that is a kind of freedom most people never reach because they're too addicted to being seen, being validated, being right. You gave all that up when you chose peace over performance. And peace didn't make you soft. It made you untouchable. You carry yourself differently now. Slower, sharper, more deliberate. You don't overshare. You don't over-explain. You don't hand people the map to your inner world just because they asked nicely. You know what access costs now. And here's the paradox that would terrify them if they fully understood it. You didn't lose your compassion. You just stopped wasting it on people who weaponize intimacy. You still feel deeply. You still care intensely. You still believe in connection. But now there's discernment guarding the door. That's the evolution pain gives you. When it doesn't destroy you, it initiates you. So as that knock echoes in some distant place, as explanations crumble and confidence leaks out of voices that once sounded so sure, you remain steady. Not because you're numb, but because you're aligned. Aligned with your truth. Aligned with your silence. Aligned with the version of yourself that survived being betrayed without becoming bitter. You didn't need to see this happen to heal. You didn't need confirmation to move on. But it's there anyway. Not as a reward, but as a reminder. A reminder that integrity has weight, that lies age poorly, that people who snake you often end up strangled by the very coils they used on others. And you walk forward lighter, cleaner, free, not because they fell, but because you rose without needing them to notice. That's the final shift. That's the real power. And once you feel it settle in your chest, once you realize you're no longer emotionally available to chaos, you'll understand. This wasn't bad. This was inevitable.